Shabbat shalom, everybody. I want to thank, of course, all those who helped make our service possible, make it work. Steve Rabinowitz, who read Torah and led Psukei de Zimra, Rabbi Rosen, who led Shachrit and Musaf, Barry Levine, who was our Haftorah reader, Chuck Barris, our floor captain, Rabbi Pachter, our Bima Gavai, and Hannah Carroll and Mark Bettman, who are our digital Gavais. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Over Thanksgiving, I was blessed to travel to our biennial family reunion that we've been having as long as I can remember. It was wonderful to see my aunts, uncles, cousins, and everyone who was brave enough to join our crazy over 45 people adventure. We were all at a hotel for several days, and it provided me the opportunity to have some deeper conversations with my cousins, kind of the type of conversation that I never really had the insight to have when I was younger. Through some of the conversations and some of my subsequent reflections, I began thinking about how each of us may have separated from our parents as we grew up. There are many different models of how people separate from parents and how children separate, how this takes place. And it seems that each generation, each family, and even each person does it in their own unique way. Some of us separate when we move out. We take what's ours and we kind of go our own way. On the other end of the spectrum, there are those who may have physically left, but never really emotionally separated, and everything in between. My cousins and I also spoke about whether we liked it or not. The more refined we became, because humans, like scotch and wine, don't get older, they just get more refined. The more we recognized how much baggage, good and bad, that our parents gave us as we went out in the world. Besides the chromosomal DNA baggage that our biological parents gave us, we also all leave homes, the homes we grew up at, with a certain amount of emotional or psychological DNA baggage, some of which is permanently imprinted upon us, and some of which we can choose to leave behind. And so it got me thinking about how we separate and what we take. And this leads directly to this week's Torah portion and the myriad of models of children separating from their parents, as the book of Genesis gives us. At the end of this week's portion comes a very intense scene where, after working for Laban for 20 years and being tricked multiple times, Jacob finally decides that its time has come for him to leave with his family. And the Torah tells us Jacob had Rachel and Leah called from the field and said to them, "I see that your father's manner towards me is not so good, but the God of my father's house has been with me. As you know, I've served your father with all my might, but your father has cheated me, changing my wages time and again. Now, arise and leave this land and return to your native land with me." Rachel and Leah, for the first and only time in the Torah, answer as a united voice, acknowledging their strained relationship with their father, and they say, "Have we still a share in the inheritance of our father's house? Surely he regards us as outsiders, now that he sold us and used up our purchase price. Truly, all the wealth that God has taken away from our father belongs to us and our children. Do as your God told you." They separate. They say, "We're done. Dad has been abusive. He's used us, and we are done." But then the Torah continues, and it says in the next line, "Meanwhile, Laban, their father, had gone to shear sheep, and Rachel stole her father's household idols." The Torah seems to throw this little line in, kind of at the end of a sentence, in hopes that we won't notice it. Similar to the way that Rachel may have hoped, perhaps, that her father wouldn't notice that her idol was gone. But as astute readers of the Torah, through rabbinic tradition, we know that this line is begging for us to scream out, Rachel, what on earth are you doing? Don't you have enough baggage in your life with fertility competition with your sister, growing animosity between your children, trying to escape a jealous, vindictive father? Do you really need to bring along the baggage of your dad's idols as well? What on earth are you doing? So what is going on? Why on earth did Rachel bring and steal her dad's idols? What do you think? Why would she do this? She's not totally ready to separate, okay? She wants a little protection, and she thinks the idol's going to protect her. That's what she's been taught by daddy. So maybe she thinks that Jacob's God is not as good as daddy's God. Okay. Ooh. So Michael's going down the road of, I'm sending a message. So here we've got Annette and Rabbi Pachter on the side looking at Rachel. Rachel did it for something for Rachel. And here Michael went the opposite direction and said, this is about her sending a message to dad. This is about dad. Okay? So, interestingly enough, Rashi goes down the idea of dad, but in a different way. Rashi says, like somebody who's addicted to something that's not good for them, I'm going to take it away from them. And so she thought, according to Rashi, that idolatry is not good. And so I'm going to help dad wean him off of this by taking the idol with me. Then he won't have access to it. Mind you, he could go to the idol store, but that's another story. But, okay, even Ezra goes a different way and looks at Rachel protecting herself, Rabbi Pachter, but from a slightly different way, that the idol, according to even Ezra, if she left the idol projected constellations on the ceiling of the house and would tell Laban where they had escaped to. And so she was protecting herself by taking away his map of where they went. I want to propose one more possibility. If Rachel knew her husband's history, she would understand that there is a proper way that children leave homes. It's a proper way to leave your family of origin. Because if we go back to the very first leaving, when Abram was told to leave his father's home, what does the Torah tell us? God said to Abraham, go forth, lech lecha, from your native land, from your father's house, land that I'll show you, and I will bless you. There's a blessing associated with leaving. And so Abraham leaves his home of origin with blessings, not from his father, but nevertheless, there's a blessing. So we move on one generation later, and we see the danger, what happens when blessings are not involved. Because the leaving of Isaac comes when the two, Abraham and Isaac, walked up the mountain together, and at the end, they walked down separately. There is no blessing, and there is no reconciliation until after Abraham is dead. There is no blessing, there is hurt and heartache, and the immediate next thing that happens is mom dies. Isaac never spoke to his father again. Now, if we go on, when Isaac's wife, Rebekah, takes leave of her family, it's done with blessings. And lo and behold, her son returns back to the family and there's continued relations. And if we go on further, when Jacob leaves his parents, never mind that he steals his brother's blessings, but there's blessings. Despite the strained relationship, it still goes on. So, is it possible that Rachel, despite the strained relationship with her father Laban, actually wanted something from her father, a blessing? Is it possible that she yearned for some sort of closure or even a blessing, and by stealing the idol, it would either provoke her father, as Michael said, to chase her, or even bring a blessing, as actually happens in the end? Not that she wanted to engage in idolatry, but she wanted a memory of Dad. So as I sat there with my cousins over Thanksgiving, we discussed the baggage that we all were given, the baggage we would like to take with us from our parents, the baggage we would like to leave behind. And we talked about what are the blessings that we're going to carry with us from our family. And so as we go in and continue on reading about our ancestors, as we continue on our own journeys, we can think about the blessings that each one of us have received and the blessings that we want to give to our descendants as we move on in our journeys.